In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a private data member and how to give the access for the private member outside the class. So let's go back to our cars class, and this time I'm going to create a private data member, and I'm going to call this member as speed, which is going to show the speed of the car. So in our parameters constructor, I just put the speed of the car is by default 0, and when we get the car details, I'm going to show the speed. So these are the changes I have done in the class, and when we go to the form in create car, so if you notice, we no need to do any changes in the our client side in the form that we have created the car objects. The changes just do in the class, so end user doesn't know about the new addition of the speed and this changes in the method. It will be automatically reflect in their code. Let's run the code, and when I press on the create car, you could see this is the details of the first car and this is the details of the second car. So whenever I get the speed of the car, it gives me 0. So on the client side, I didn't do any changes, but all the changes whatever I do in the class, it reflects on our objects. Now how do we access the data member outside the class, which is a private data member? For example, if I want to access the speed of my car, so when I say my car dot, I can see the make, model, price and year, but it doesn't show me the speed because speed is a private data member. So how we can give a access for the speed to outside the class? So we are going to use something called properties. So a properties is looks similar to the data field or data member, but you can have two different methods inside the property, which is called as get method and set method. A set method is used to set the values of the data member, and the get method is used to read the values from the data member. So I'm going to create a new property for the speed with two methods, set and get. I'm going to create this property as a public property. I'm going to create a public property for the speed. So I'm going to call the name of this property similar to our data member name, but just the capital letter for the first letter. I make the first letter as capital, and this is going to return or read a integer value. Since our speed is integer, this is going to be a integer value, and inside this I'm going to, this is a property to access our private data fields. So I'm going to have two method here, get method to read the value. So the keyword is get, and this is going to be a method. Inside the method, I'm going to return the speed of the car. So when we access the get method, it's going to return the speed of the car, and we have a set method that is going to write a value. So we call this as set. Set is a keyword, get is a keyword, and here we are going to assign the value to the speed of our car. So you can see here, speed is a public property which is going to read or write an integer. So we have get method and set method. Get method is to return the speed, so it will return what is the current speed of the car, and set method is to set the value to the car speed. Now let's go back to our form, and inside here, so if I want to get access to the my car speed, I can give my car dot. So I have a new property called speed. You can see the icons. So these icons is for the data field, and for the methods we have, like we have the method car details, so which is a box icon, and for the property it's like a spanner. So I'm going to set the speed. So I'm going to set the speed as 100, and when I'm going to read the speed, when I'm going to display the speed of my car, I can say list cars items add my car dot speed. So here we are using the get method, and here we are using the set method. Let's save this project and run it. If you create the car, you could see for the my car the speed is 100, and for your car and his car the speed is 0. Now another use of the property is we could control the value what user enters to our data member. For example, let's say if the user enter a negative value for the speed which is invalid, so now if I run and execute, I can see my car speed is minus 100, which is not correct. So I could control this in our set method to make sure that the user gives only a positive value, assigns only a positive value. If we give any value which is less than 0, we are going to make it as 0. So let's go to our class, and here in the set method I'm going to give a condition. If the value for the set is less than 0, that's any negative value, I'm going to set the speed as 0. Otherwise else I'm going to set the speed of the car as the given value. So this is another advantage of having a property. Now let's go back and see. So here I'm setting the value of speed of my car as negative 100. When I execute this code and run, you could see the car speed is 0, because we have write in the set method, if the value is less than 0, we want to set it to 0. So if my value is anything more than 0, so let's say I put 10, and when I run, you can see the car speed is now 10. Now I'm going to write another few more methods to our car class that's going to control the speed of the car. So I'm going to write two methods. One is to accelerate, other one is to brake. So when I use the accelerate method, I'm going to increase the speed by 10, and when user call brake, it's going to decrease the speed by 10. So let's go back to our class, and here I'm going to create two new methods. One is for accelerator, so this one I'm going to make it as a public method, and I'm not going to return any value, so I'm making it as void, and the method name is accelerator, and we are not going to send any parameter, because when I call the accelerator, it's going to increase the speed by 10. So inside this method, I'm just going to increase my speed by 10, and I'm going to have another method which is brake. It's also a public method. It's not going to return any value. Since the brake is a keyword, I'm going to change the B to capital, and we are going to reduce the speed by 10. So if I call the accelerator, the speed is increased 10, and when I call the brake, the speed is decreased 10. Let us save the file and go back to our form, and here, after I display the car details of his car, I'm going to increase the speed of his car. So his car dot accelerator. So this is going to increase the speed of the car, and I'm going to get the new details of the car after I increase the speed and display them. Let's say this and run. So you could see when I press create, at the first Honda, his car, the speed was 0, and after I apply the accelerator, the speed become 10. So let's see, I'm going to apply the speed 2 times. So his car accelerator, so this means my speed must increase 10 plus 10, that's 20. When I run, you can see at the first it's 0, and the second time it is 20, because every time you call the accelerator, the speed is going to increase 10. So let's check about the brake. So I'm going to call brake, so this should decrease our speed by 10. Let's try to call the brake for 3 times, and get the details of the car and display them. So when you run, so here you can see at the beginning it's 0, when I increase the accelerator 2 times, it becomes 20, and when I decrease the speed by making brake for 3 times, so it becomes -10, which is wrong. So let's go back to our class. So in our brake function, I'm going to check if the speed is less than 0. So if the speed of the car is less than 0, I'm going to change the speed to 0. Now let's run the code. So I didn't do any changes in the form code. I just do the changes in my brake method inside the class. So now when the form, when you call the same method, it will work differently. So you can see when I press the car, you can see here the first time the speed was 0. When I apply the brake accelerator 2 times, it becomes 20. When I apply the brake for 3 times, it is not -10 like last time. Now it's 0. So anything which is less than 0, it will set back to 0. We could actually use our property in this, because we already have a set property to do the speed. If it is less than 0, I change to 0. So I'll show you how to use this property. So this, so here I can use speed. This time it's not a data member, it's a property equal to speed -10. So I don't need to do any condition checking because it's already done in our property. So now let's save this file, run. If you press on the button, you can see the output is still 0. This time we are using the properties instead of the data member in our brake.